articles to go through. And I know Dave, you've got a limit of 6 o'clock, correct?
Yeah.
So I'm going to call the meeting to order. We do have a quorum. All 4 board members are present, as well as our town manager and our community development and tax assessor also.
Yeah. And
Article 1. What's that?
And Natalie's here. The clerk is here to report.
Thank you, Nat, for being here. Article 1, to consider the Board of Selectmen USDA Rural Development Sewer Department Loan Resolution to transition from project interim financing. Gary, we've got some forms in front of us, but why don't you summarize all these forms and we'll go from there.
All right. So recap, you have a summary that I provided to you in an email previously, and it's attached to the front of this. It basically explains the sewer project, how it was funded, when it started, and how it was funded. And so just to kind of for everybody to hear, project for the sewer department was approved at the hold on here, February 15, 2018 town meeting, special town meeting, where the townspeople voted to authorize going into this project, which provided for roughly $6 million of borrowing and $1.895 million of grant. Okay, so USDA is putting $1.895 million of grant into the project. So the way that these projects work with rural development, federal funding, once we move forward, the town acquires interim financing. We go out to bid for interim financing. Banks give us their, we tell them what the terms are. We're going to need to borrow some interim financing for a period of time. What's your best interest rate? And we award a contract or the financing services that we look for to the best, the bank that has the best terms. And so that ended up being First National Bank out of coastal Maine, Bar Harbor area. That was all done with bond counsel helping us out. So what happens with these rural development sewer projects, or it's the same thing with Dawn, and for instance with drinking water projects, when they're funded by rural development, we first have to get the interim financing for the full amount of what the loan is going to be. In this case, $6,105,000. As the project is progressing, we go through phases, and there's pay requisitions that come in, and we pay for the project in installments to the contractors and the vendors that are doing work, and we pay that from interim financing. When we get to the point that interim financing becomes depleted, we're getting close to being done with the interim financing. In other words, we spent about an equal amount as what we have in interim financing. We transition to the loan with rural development that's approved. And so what you have in front of you is the resolution it's basically the promissory note of the town, signed by the town's officials, if you will. And so it's a project already approved at town meeting. We're moving forward. Rural development would have never committed to this project if we didn't have the commitment by the townspeople, which has already been taken care of. At this point in time, we're just moving forward from the interim financing stage, getting into the loan, getting the loan committed, and then moving into the grant phase of the project. So we spend all of our borrowing money first, and then USDA throws their $1.895 million of their funds, their commitment to the project, at the tail end of the project, if you will. So you have the resolution of the United States of America, State of Maine, Municipality, the Town of Madawaska, Maine, 2020 obligation bond for $6,105,000 at a rate of 1.375%. If you can recall, the authorization at town meeting was for terms for that amount of money, not to exceed an interest rate of 2%. Luckily, interest rates have fallen quite a bit. Just from pre-April, we dropped down to 1.375%, and that saves us about $22,000 a year worth of finance charge, which is significant. So with that being said, you have in front of you the amortization schedule what the payments look like. Last payment due is April 23, 2048. The average payment, the first one's going to be $264,171.52 per year. And we're going to be paying for that until 2048.
28-year loan.
28-year loan. You can see you have my certificate of indebtedness for the town that we provided, which is the town has, by statute, by state law, all towns have a borrowing limit, and there's two levels of borrowing limit, if you will. There's the town operations in and of itself, meaning just the town budget, which is 7.5% of state valuation. So we use last year's state valuation times 7.5%, and that gives us the town debt limit of $25,143,750. There's also what's called the aggregate debt limit of the town, where the school debt and the sewer debt included with the town debt cannot exceed more than 15% of state valuation. And that number you'll see down below, the aggregate debt limit of the town / school / sewer department is $50,287,500. On your next page, a financial statement for the town, you'll see what our total current indebtedness is, bonds outstanding and unpaid. That means that's what we have out for loans as of April 16, 2020, of $8,341,000, totaling $8,341,025.71. And when you include the sewer loan of 6.105, that gives us indebtedness of $14,446,025.71. Any questions on that?
Any questions from any board member?
So I guess the only question I have is the project itself is close to completion. Is that what you're saying? And but speak a little bit about the project itself and
Sure.
Who's the engineer and how far we're into it.
So right now we're projecting substantial completion in June. The engineer on the project is Woodard and Curran. The contractors on the job for the sewer plant is Apex Incorporated, and they have some various subcontractors working for them. And then on the projects that we had in town, meaning like the in-ground work, pipes being replaced, McGillen was the low bidder on that. And they ended up subcontracting a lot of that work to Ed Pelletier, our local contractor. So we are currently, we still have a few small off-street sewer projects going on right now on North 5th Ave, North 7th Ave. We just finished North 13th Ave. I think that's what we have left for groundwork to do. And then we still have work going on at the plant. They're finishing up the upgrades. That's where the bulk of the work remains. So the project basically went on from a lot of sewer line replacement work, old leaky sewer lines that had to be replaced. They were taken in water. Sections that had been cambered and surveyed and found to be in need of repair. And those projects started from 25th Ave over by the Frenchville Town Line all the way to North 3rd. Some back street work on the south side of Main Street, a little bit of work on the north side of Main Street behind the Main Street buildings. A section of sewer line in St. David. We replaced we upgraded a pump station in St. David, and then an enormous amount of work at the sewer plant.
So all of this work is costing us $6,105,000. Is that correct?
Yeah, we also did get another grant from the state of Maine, and we had to borrow. We went to town meeting on June 27, 2018. And when we were going through the project, the engineers found some other work that we thought would be worthy potential of consideration. And they applied for funding in the state's main DEP CWSRF Clean Water Revolving Loan Fund. And the way that project works, every year or every other year, that project, CWSRF, or in Don's case, drinking water program, is funded by the state of Maine, and is funded by bonds. You go to referendum and you'll see those every now and then. Shall the voters of the state approve drinking water and clean water programs? And so we put an application in for funding and grant. We ended up getting $1 million grant from Maine DEP, and our share of a $1.695 million project was $695,000. So that's part of this project as well.
So along with this loan that we're making here of 6.218, there's also money from the grants that was added. So this is not the total cost of the project.
No.
6.218.
Right. So the grant part of it, Dave, is basically 1.895 and another 695,000 from state and federal grant work.
Okay. And if you add those three figures together, that would be the total cost.
Correct.
Of this project. Is
Correct.
that right?
Correct.
Plus interest.
Well, yeah,
Nice.
the interest is paid for over time.
Interest is,
I mean, if you're to talk cost, then you have to think about the interest too.
right. And the interest is going to be somewhere north of 1.2 million by the time it's paid off.
Yeah.
And what threw me off is you had $113,000 for interest, but that's only for the bridge loan, right?
The
That's
bridge
only for the
loan.
construction
So the
loan.
interim,
Talking about the interim.
yeah, the interim financing charge is roughly $113,000.
Right.
That's paid for from the grant. USDA grants paying for that. RD.
So part of that grant money you have is going to be paying off that interest.
Correct.
Okay.
1 million. Sorry,
So,
$113,812.05.
Yep,
That
yep,
interim
I see.
financing fee charges is going to be paid for by a rural development grant.
yeah. So this has all been accepted at town level. It's pretty well straightforward. I think the interest rate is a lot better than we had anticipated. So this is really just a formality here tonight to just review this and then to give you the final okay. Is that what this is?
Yes, David, that's correct.
Okay.
Anyone
I'm all
else?
set.
So
Thank you, Dave.
Gary, if I can ask now, as far as the project itself, I mean, are we 90% complete, and how much of the funding have we spent at this point?
So right now, I mean, that's it. I'm going to estimate, but right now we're transferring to our interim financing. So we've got roughly $2 million spent. That's why we're transitioning to the RD funding out of interim financing. And there's DEP monies that have gone into it already, but we still have probably a couple $1 million left of work left to be done, and that's going to be done by June. Keep in mind that we do pay recs every week or so, every couple of weeks, and so there's going to be there's already work done that we haven't been billed for, and we do a couple of pay recs a month to pay all of our contractors and vendors. So all said and done, I anticipate that substantial completion is going to occur in June. As any large project, there's going to be a punch list likely and things that loose ends that are going to have to be tied up. But for the most part, the project will be complete. Less some minor housekeeping things and some administrative stuff that's probably going to trail into July or August, I would expect.
So at this time, you're fairly sure that we're not going to be hit with extras?
No, we went into these projects and we we were clear to say that we're not going above and beyond what is authorized by the townspeople to borrow to spend. And so the engineers know that. They've been working under that. There are contingency monies, so we always operate as we're moving through the projects. We are being updated of where we are. Like the administrators, like Dawn was part of that on the water side, because they had a project that was kind of in sync with ours, a drinking water project, and so we oftentimes had the same construction meetings and pay rec meetings, if you will. So no, we are not going to spend more money than what's approved. And with the grants, the way that the grants work, you don't want to leave the grants on the table. You know, we're going to end up spending every dime because now we're into the grant phase of the project. And if we don't spend the grant monies, then we're going to lose them at this point, because we've already spent our obligation, our loan, if you will, part of the project.
Doug, does that
Okay.
answer your question?
Yep, it does, but I have another, just so I understand, how does the repayment plan come about? I mean, who designs that repayment plan and the monthly payments? Is that done by the state, or do we have any word as far as how that gets calculated?
That's all done by RD, Rural Development. And so the way that these projects are funded in respect to how much they basically come in, and they'll come into a town, let's say for instance Madawaska, RD will come in and there's going to be some study work done. They're going to look at the systems. Most of the time the systems are having issues, they've aged, there's some work that needs to get done, upgrades, replacement of pipes and whatnot. So RD will come in working with the engineers, and they'll look at the amount of debt service that is already incurred by the sewer department. They look at sewer rates, the amount of users, and I can't tell you, I don't know specifically how they calculate it, but they, with that and other factors, determine how much grant they're going to put into this and what the payback is going to be in terms of months. Dawn, and you've had experience with these before. Can you maybe offer a little something on that?
It all depends on the availability of funds and how you've got the income, community income levels. If you fall under a certain amount of on the average household income, then you can qualify for a little bit more. But there is formulas that they use. RD, I'm not too familiar with. They do things just a little bit different, like as you said. But at the end of the day, they provided a package that fit what they wanted to give, and then you've got the other funding that came in from other sources. So that's basically how all of this got put together.
I do want to add one thing to go back on the DEP, a portion of the project, the CWSRF project. When towns are invited to apply for those funds, or town sewer departments or water, if it's a clean water project, towns are invited to apply for those funds. And so naturally, obviously, there's going to be a number of applications that are going to go in, and they get scored by whomever at DEP. And in 2018, Madawaska's application out of, I think, 30 or so came in at second as should have been funded. So we ranked up pretty high, and we got the most amount of grant that DEP would ever give for a clear.
So how does that ranking work? I mean, how would we qualify for that kind of rating?
It all depends. Again, it depends on sewer debt, depends on the number of users. There's where the town is or the sewer department is financially. I don't know all of those factors, Doug. Quite frankly, those are internal things that DEP has. Not privy to that.
But they also take into consideration: are you addressing a problem in your community? In this case, the CSOs, the plan itself needed upgrades. to stay in compliance. And so this was all part of a process that gave, the more points you received is because you probably had a need to get stuff done using their money.
So what concerns me right now is that, Gary was establishing what kind of indebtedness the town can actually handle. And in looking and understanding these figures, we're coming in at roughly 17%, where our cap is at 25%. Is that correct, Gary? Am I correct in establishing that? And that gives us like a 7% leeway, and we're talking about a loan here for 28 years. I mean,
So Doug, to get back to your point there, let me find my certificate of indebtedness here for you. You got to keep in mind that our certificate of indebtedness, like I said earlier, statutorily, the state law says that the town can incur just the town operations, not the sewer, not the school.
oh, okay, so this is separate.
Correct. Can
Okay.
incur 7.5%. Our debt limit is 7.5% of state valuation, last year's state valuation. But when the aggregate for the sewer, it's not inclusive of sewer and school budget, school debt. But the aggregate for the three, the sewer systems, sanitary systems, school, and town, is 15%. And that number is 50 million. I can't find my.
50,287,500.
And that's school, sewer, and what was the other one?
School, sewer, and the town.
In the town.
Town itself.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the debt limit for the town is at 25 million max, based on last year's numbers from the state.
Correct.
And so the total indebtedness, which includes that project, will be 14 million, a little over 14 million. Any other questions?
And that 14 million, Doug,
Yeah.
that's town. That's
And
this 14 million number here on the bottom on this financial statement is the bottom line number of the certificate of indebtedness, and that includes the sewer.
Yep, I saw that.
sewer,
that
water,
includes-
sewer, town, and school.
Correct.
Lori, do you have any questions?
No, I had dug into this quite a bit this afternoon, and I'm good.
Okay, then I'll entertain a motion that we approve the resolution and of this going forward with this, finishing off this loan and turning the interim loan into a bond.
Well, so moved.
Moved by Doug. Is there a second?
I'll second.
David, any more discussions? All in favor? Aye.
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 I believe Gary wants us tomorrow, because of the date of what this is all dated, is that we need to go in and sign the majority of the municipal officers, so they can send this to the attorney to get this all finished up.
I have
correct?
just a couple of documents for you to sign. One is the resolution, and one is your it's just certificate of incumbency. Basically, you're signing that you're actually a selectman. So just a couple of signatures from you guys tomorrow would be great.
Are those ready to go? Are those
I have them ready to go.
the paperwork ready to go?
Yep.
Okay. All right. We're all in favor. Good. I think we've all said yes. I got to figure out what my paperwork is here. Right here. Okay. All right. Oh, thank you, everyone. Article 2, to update the board of the town of Madawaska / St. John Valley Chamber of Commerce Madawaska Business Boost Program, and consider UDAG reappropriation to the program. So is Keith gonna walk us through this? You and Gary, Keith and Gary, I mean?
Keith's ready to address you guys and take your questions.
I'm ready to listen.
Yeah, I mean, speaking on behalf of Sharon as well, who's not on the call, but it was an enormous success. In less than 2 hours, we sold out completely, and we really did help a lot of small businesses. It was really spread out across the board. I don't have exact numbers with me, but it was an incredible program. We still have a ton of people like waiting in queue right now that didn't get a gift certificate. So, I mean, with the popularity of it, man, it'd be great to throw some more funds into that, help some of the businesses, and also help people in the community.
Do you have a plan or an idea of what you'd like to see?
Well, I mean, I think, like I said, when we knew we were going to sell out, we started time stamping. I mean, obviously, any emails that came in were time stamped, and we were time stamping as many phone calls as we could take. So ideally, if there'd be any money appropriated, we would sort of take off where we left off, and handle in order the people that are waiting in line, so to speak, and be able to just, that would be the most fair way in my perspective. So yeah, I mean, again, I don't have I know we appropriated 10,000 originally. I mean, we have enough. I believe we have enough people waiting in line that we could probably appropriate another 20,000 and still probably not touch everybody. That's how popular this program was.
Well, Gary, do you want to talk about the UDAG program financially, where we are on that, to see if there's possibilities to go back to that?
Okay, so just to kind of add a little bit to Keith's thing, I think our estimate right now is that we have about 570, 600 certificates that people are waiting to find out if they can get, if they can be funded or not. If we were to do 600 certificates, half of the cost of that would be ours, and that would be $15,000 for 600 certificates. Our UDAG program had about $95,000 balance. Okay, we did a couple of stimulus programs. We did this program here, the Boost, and we also did the microloan program. And for those who are listening to this meeting, the microloan program was approved by this board, provides up to $41,000 microloans, one limit per person, per business, free of interest, no payments for 6 months, and then after 6 months, you pay it back over a 12-month period, essentially an 18-month loan, no interest, with a 6-month moratorium on payments. And so we have one loan that's been approved and already funded. We did that. We took an application late last week, and it was approved. They qualified, and we did process that for payment, and that business has the funds in their hands right now. And we have another application that went out today, or yesterday, I believe. So we did advertise the microloan program, and I think we have a limit on an application period, which is 90 days from the start of it. So, we are sort of committed to putting out 40 microloans. I don't know if we're going to hit that, but let's just say that 40 microloans takes 40 grand off the $95,000 balance in our UDAG, right? And I'm just going to do some math because I didn't have it right in front of me here, but
51,000 from 51,500 minus whatever you currently had in your UDAG of 90 some odd thousand leaves you what, 40 some odd thousand?
so we have roughly $43,500 left in our UDAG program to do additional stimulus right now, making the assumption that we are going to distribute $40,000 worth of microloans.
Okay.
So go ahead.
Are you making any recommendation to this board?
Well, I think that, we rounded up. We have an account of about 570 certificates that are on reserve, if you will. To round that up to 600, with our share of that would be 15,000. I think I'd like to be able to give the chamber a little more admin money to take care of that too. They worked incredibly hard to do this. They did a good job. There was some bumps in the road, but It was incredible. And Keith and I were down there helping out, taking calls. I went down there for a while, and Doug came in to see how things were going, and it was pretty exciting and crazy to see the call volume and the email volume.
Pretty intense is more the word.
But it was exciting. And Keith, I want you to speak to a little bit about where you see, generally speaking, the money went. So as far as distribution.
Yeah, I mean, I was pleasantly surprised as to how spread out it was. It wasn't, I mean, obviously the list of businesses that opted in, there were clearly some there that you thought would sell out immediately, and some others maybe sort of left with less or nothing. But it was a really good spread across. I mean, a lot of hair salons, you know, sole proprietor type places that are completely shut down right now. A lot of people supported those folks, as well as some of the other businesses that are still open but are basically, you know, operating with one leg and one arm right now. So it was just it's great. The primary objective of this whole program was to put money into the small businesses' hands right now to help them out. If you base it completely on those measures, it was an enormous success and could be even bigger if we were to appropriate more funds. Secondly, you wanted to get the economy going by getting people out there buying these certificates and then hopefully turning around and spending that money locally in the next months when these businesses are really going to need our help. And we did that as well. You know, like Gary said, there were a few bumps in the road. Was it a flawless program? Absolutely not. If I could groundhog day it and start, you know, again, there might be some things that we would tweak if we ever are fortunate enough to be able to do a program like this again. I would certainly, between myself and Sharon, would maybe change things up a bit to make it more organized. But based on how quickly this came about and we rolled it out there, again, it was a huge success. And I think once these checks to these local businesses get handed out, I think you're going to see some happy business owners here in town. And again, the thank people of Madawaska and the surrounding communities for the support they poured in. It was great. It really was.
I'm going to add in to that. I can't forget that there were some sponsors that put some money into this as well. We had some individuals and sponsors who put about collectively $950 towards the town's first installment, if you will. And it was nice to see. I took orders by phone for quite a while, and the orders that I saw, I think people were making conscious decisions to buy a little bit. They had a 4-limit quota, and a lot of people were spreading that out. You know, they were just making sure every business that they was getting a little bit. And I don't think I took one transaction where it was just at one spot. It was all spread out, and it was nice to see that. Just to give you an idea, so our $10,000 put into this leveraged $1,000 of sponsors. So our $11,000 pot of money became a $22,000 stimulus for our local businesses. If we put in for the 15 to basically fund the rest of these certificates, that would mean a $25,000 contribution and a $50,000 stimulus effort for our businesses in town.
I have a quick question, if I can.
Sure.
You say you have a standing list right now. When was the last people on that standing list? When was that reservation put in?
Keith?
In other words, from what I heard, most all the certificates were sold before 8 o'clock that morning. Is that true?
I think it was somewhere between 8 and 9 o'clock in the morning. I don't remember the exact time, but yeah, I mean, it was super early.
No, my concern is this doesn't only help the business people, but it's also for the public to take advantage of. And I feel that might be a sector of our public that did not have the chance to take advantage of it because the program was opened at midnight. And of course, by computer, which some of us are good at and some of us are not, took advantage of all the midnight hours to get this. So my concern is that everybody has a chance, a fair chance to buy some of these certificates. Mm-hmm. And on my other question is, I don't think I've ever seen a list of the businesses involved advertised anyways. And if I did, I think I seen a partial list, but there was a lot of businesses that were not included.
Yep.
Can
The
you,
well, there was a all the businesses were we advertised a week prior for the businesses to opt in. The opt-in period ended last Saturday. So Sharon compiled all that information, and Sunday she had it on her chamber website. We posted it on our website on Sunday as well. We blasted it out on the chamber Facebook page. We did our best to get it out there for Monday morning so that people had the list in front of them. The businesses that didn't take part either didn't respond or decided not to opt in. And again, Dave, to your point with the starting at midnight, that was one of the hiccups for sure. And like I said, it was not a flawlessly run program. I'll be the first one to say that. But again, the purpose of the program was to put money into the hands of small business owners right now. If you want to base it off of that, it was a giant success because there is going to be a lot of money doled out to our local business owners. If we could roll this out and do it all over again, yeah, we might have been, we probably would have narrowed down the time frame or exactly how to do it. Some of those things, it wasn't perfect, but you know, I knew it was going to be busy. I was not expecting the craziness that happened, starting at 8 o'clock in the morning. It was pretty nuts.
Can I say, Dave, just to your point, a lot of the businesses that were involved shared that list as well. I kept seeing it, throughout the day. And the midnight thing and the cutoff, I think, like he said, there's no way it could have been anticipated. I guess maybe we should have seen this coming, but I originally sent in an email only around, I don't know, maybe 9 o'clock. And I said, I'll buy 4 because I thought we would have some left for a couple of days and that I would be actually helping a business. So I thought I'll buy some. I since, taken that back because I realized I don't need to. I think you guys got 300 emails and phone calls within 2 hours or something like that. And they had one phone line, which we didn't anticipate that kind of busyness, I guess. And it is sad that people couldn't get through that really wanted to. It's a learning experience. And if we ever do something like this again, I guess we'll have to, set up multiple phone lines and just do things a whole lot differently.
Right. We can,
that we had this problem. Actually.
We can take, it's a great problem to have. We can, and I completely understand that side of it, but we can sit here all day and fight over the details. But the fact of the matter is the objective of the program was to put money in small business owners' hands, and we completed that objective with flying colors. Unless I thought for sure, Lori, you're saying days. I was thinking it would be a couple weeks until we would sell all of these certificates. I guess that's how naive I was going into it. But I was not prepared for how quickly that all transpired. But it was amazing. It was awesome to be a part of, and I know we left people out, and it's sad that there are people that really wanted some that couldn't get that. But at the same time, nobody lost any money in this deal. We did our best. We weren't cherry picking. We were taking as many phone calls and envelopes out of the Dropbox and emails and in the best, the most orderly way possible. So again, it wasn't perfect, but man, oh man, did it did what it was supposed to do.
But if we decide to put more money into it, those people that you say lost out now have a chance to get some certificates.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think the fairest way, because everything we did was time stamped. Every phone call we took, we wrote a time to it. Every email that we got obviously has a timestamp in it. I would say if we're going to appropriate anything, we would start from the first person that wasn't able to get one and work our way down the list in chronological order.
Yeah, asking if they still want to buy some.
Right. Yeah. And the cool thing about it is if we appropriate more money, again, on the guidelines, we had a 60 max for each business. Because of the way it was so spread out, none of the businesses maxed out in this first set. I anticipate any future appropriation, we will max them out, which I think is a good thing, because then as we work down the list, if somebody wanted a gift certificate to a business that is maxed out, they may choose to go a different route and support another small business. So I really think we could spread some wealth here, and it would, and again, no small business is going to get rich off this. We're not talking, nobody's getting a check for 20 grand, but it's going to be, hopefully, if we can spread that out and get, 20 plus businesses a little bit to help with some of the operating costs right now, and just help with that burden that everyone's dealing with right now, with the loss of business due to the pandemic, that would be great.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I wholeheartedly believe in this program. Again, it wasn't perfect. I'm not saying it was, but we completed the mission, and it'd be great if there could be some more funds thrown at it. We could help some more businesses and make some more people happy with some gift certificates.
Yeah. Hey, board members, Lori, Dave, and Doug, do you have any inclination to go put some more money in there from UDAG?
Yeah,
Go ahead, Doug.
no, Lori, go ahead.
Well, okay, so I have a concern about the balance of the UDAG, obviously. I know there are some loans outstanding and people are paying those back, so that balance will go back up. I have that concern, but overwhelmingly, I feel that UDAG has been used over the years to help businesses start up. And this is, and I'm sure it's not the first time, but this is the first time that I know about that it's been able to be used for like an existing a bunch of businesses, I guess, all at the same time. So having said that, I'd like to see us for sure fund the 569 certificates that there's a list for, which is a little under $15,000. And to be honest, I wouldn't mind saying, let's do another 200 certificates and make it an even 20,000. And then the difference, I think it's 775, and that would go to the chamber. But I don't know if 20 is too much for you guys, that's fine. I really want to, I lean toward the side of I really want to do this.
Hey, Doug?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, Lori just tackled half of the issue that I had there, but not every community has this program, this UDAG program, and I think it's a nice asset for this town to have, and I am concerned a little bit about how it gets funded. I mean, these particular dollars that we're working on are not dollars that are going to find their way back. So I'm concerned that we make sure that this UDAG program keeps running, and how does it normally get funded?
So the UDAG program is a revolving loan fund from a decades-old revolving loan fund. Came from the state or the federal government, and I believe it was a program with the paper mill, with some lending, and the town was the administrator of the fund, and payments were made back to the town UDAG fund. So money that came in from state or federal government way back when in a revolving loan fund was paid back to the town in their revolving loan fund for future lending purposes. So the town of Madawaska has for decades now had this revolving loan fund. Yes, it has. I don't have the exact numbers for you, but it's capitalized a lot less than it was back in the day. We have made a lot of loans over the years, and a lot of loans have been paid back, and there have loans that have not been paid back. And we've also done marketing grants.
So it's probably been depleting slowly here for many years.
I mean, there's been a gradual decline of it. Yes, it does earn interest, obviously. So that helps to, but it at some point in time, these kinds of programs cease to exist. Okay, so depending on the borrowing and the losses that we may incur, bankruptcies or whatnot. So I personally think it's a good use of money. We are helping businesses out. I want to say that before you guys get ready to make motions, I would like to add a couple of comments that, we wanted to help the businesses. We wanted to do something quick, and we definitely, like Keith said, we mission accomplished that one. And the other thing we wanted to do is help the chamber out too. And we thought this would be a great opportunity for the chamber to be a more, the chambers are struggling everywhere. Funds are short for operating, and opportunities are rare. And so we thought this would be a great opportunity for the chamber to showcase what they have. And so, what ended up happening is obviously because of COVID-19, there wasn't any face-to-face transactions, but an enormous amount of traffic that came in through the chamber that usually is not the case. And so already, and then I don't want to speak for the chamber, but already, we think we figured out a great program for the chamber to continue on. It could be self-funded by chamber members moving forward. And so we may have stumbled onto something, I hope, that would be an exciting thing for the chamber to have. It would bring a lot of people through their doors when eventually people can come back through the doors. That will help local businesses to generate business and interest. And so it's very exciting, I find. And
so many people, Gary, don't realize or understand just what the chamber does, and so they go unnoticed for many people out there, for many of us. But I think this is a great opportunity for the chamber to really shine here. But I guess really my question was, are you concerned about funding the UDAG program directly from the town? Are we going to be concerned about that at any point, or you're just going to let this dwindle away, or?
I'd have to do some research on that, Doug. I don't know that if towns have there are other towns that have these type of funds, some of the larger communities, if you will. I don't know if there's ever been appropriations made to the UDAG program per se, to the revolving loan fund. I would have to do some research on that. I mean, it's an interesting thing. We'd certainly want to be able to keep the UDAG program alive. But, those old federal programs, they don't exist anymore to fund these things. And so I will certainly look into it if that's something that the board and the townspeople would want to consider. I can look into the legalities of it for sure.
Well, I mean, you can see where in certain situations or circumstances, you have that door that you can open and work with and not have to run to the townspeople for money,
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a great program, whether we call it a UDAG or whether we call it something different. I think it could be really helpful to our community in many different ways.
Doug,
So
would you support Lori's thoughts?
I have no objections. I believe that we still have somewhat 40 some odd thousand left in the account there. 43,000, I think, is what we were discussing. We're talking probably about 20,000 the way Lori was talking, and I would be in agreement with that. I mean, I see no better way to spend that money.
Yeah, let me get Dave to give us his perspective also before we go to.
Okay, before we even started this discussion, my idea was that the $40,000 that we put towards small businesses so that they can loan has not received much of a interest, and I was thinking that we could take 20 from that 40 and 15 or 20 from that 40 and slide it over to this program. And therefore, it wouldn't be digging into the UDAG fund so much. So that's my feeling.
The only thing, Dave, is that we've advertised a microloan up to 40 microloans available. We've advertised it. The board has acted on it.
Yeah.
So, I would hate to find ourselves in a position where somebody comes in with loan application number 21, right? And sorry, we kind of changed our mind on that.
Yeah.
Keep in mind too that I expect that whatever we give out for microloans, we're probably going to get a good chunk of that back in a short amount of time. It's an 18-month loan. So that money is going to come back into our coffers. There may be a few defaults along the way. We don't know. But we have to make an assumption that when we put out these microloans, that the borrower is going to pay back.
Yeah, and at the same time, you got the ability to give out 40 microloans, but if only 30 take advantage of it, you're still going to have that $10,000 that you're not going to give out at the end of 90 days.
Exactly.
Gary, do we have a date again on these microloans so that they have to be applied for?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I
No.
can't remember the date. I'm so bad with remembering dates, but we
it's,
said 90 days from its inception.
I
I
believe
think
it's,
it's June. I think it's June 30.
that's correct, Dave. That's correct.
Dave, we did advertise for 2 weeks in the local paper for the microloan program. And I know Keith did a bit with WAGM today. So there's going to be some more coverage of that. And I expect once there's a little more awareness out there and word gets out, that we're going to see more applications.
Yeah. Okay.
Good. Well, Lori, do you want to continue and make a motion?
Okay, I guess I'll make a motion. I have another question though. Hold on.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, it slips my mind. Do you guys think there could be an opportunity? I'm not going to name the particular business, but I know of one in particular that thought they had to be completely closed to be able to jump on this list. Do you think that it would be wise to say, if there's a business or two that didn't get on because either they missed the memo or didn't understand, that we could add them at this point if we're going to, start over?
Well, I would be opposed to that, but we have all these orders that people have already said, told us what they want. I want 2 of these and I want 2 of those, or 3 of these and 1 of those. So we're going to have to go back and re-ask all the people who've given their pre-orders if they would want to change their order because 1 or 2 more businesses would come in. I mean, I'm not opposed to it, but it would be some work involved in it for sure.
What if we said, so the people that are, you had 569, the people that are already on the waiting list, we'll leave it alone. And then we take, let's say we vote to do another 200 certificates. We consider that maybe a new round of this program and let those people jump on for those 200. Is that not fair to the other people that are already on? I don't know. I don't want anybody left out. And it sounds like, maybe somebody didn't quite understand because he's not closed, but his business has certainly been hit. What do you guys, Doug?
This is a program that is designed to try to help everybody, and so I'm open. I would open the door to that thought, but not being directly involved, I would want to try to get Keith's comments here about the thought. I mean, it really sounds good to me. I mean, this is a win-win situation for everybody. So how can we accommodate this business or businesses that weren't really sure if they could get in this program? I mean, the more that we attract and the more that we get our businesses to be in this program, the better for all of us. And so, Keith, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. There was no mention in the guidelines that you had to be completely closed. We advertised those guidelines as best as we could. We were on the radio for a week. We were in the paper. I feel like we did as much as we could in that short time to get businesses to understand that they had to call us and opt in. I wouldn't be opposed to letting somebody in if they were to call the chamber or myself and request that. Do I want to change all my current advertising to add a couple names to it? No, I don't. But if they wanted to add themselves and market the program on their Facebook page or their website and say, hey, I'm available as well, then that's okay, I guess. I'm trying to be fair, but also trying not to reinvent the wheel here and have to redo everything that's already been put together. Again, this has all happened in short time, but we did advertise it. It's not like this was some secret that we were hiding from everybody. And the reason, and just to go a little bit further, the reason why we held an opt-in period to begin with was that we didn't want to take the chance that we would forget somebody. So for me, and between me and Sharon and putting this together and coming up with business names, we certainly didn't want to say, okay, here they all are, and then have 2 or 3 the day of the program say, well, you forgot about me. You know what I mean? Like we based it off of the business listing we have at the town office, and we cross-referenced that with Sharon's chamber members. And then we went through, just going through the phone book, going through driving through town, just trying to make sure that we didn't leave anybody out. And so we ultimately made a decision, you know what, let's advertise it like crazy and let's get the businesses to opt into this. So that way we don't miss anybody. But
did you, Keith, did you send like an email or a to all the businesses that you could think of that this program was happening?
yeah, we came up
So
with this.
even though they were open, if they were open, you made contact with them.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say we made contact with everyone. Sharon sent out emails to her members, chamber members. We reached out, but again, we advertised a full week before that. So, I mean, my voice was on the radio. We were on our website, the chamber website, the chamber's Facebook page. We were in the paper. I have a hard time believing anybody just didn't know about it. We did everything we could aside from, running up and down Main Street with a sign. But
So Keith, it wasn't in any way a judgment on the advertising. And to be clear, there wasn't a complaint from the business. I think it's more of a that he probably held back thinking, this is for certain people that are struggling to a certain point. And then when he saw the list, he said, oh, I really could have done this.
Right.
There wasn't a complaint. I'm not making a judgment. I'm just saying, what if, someone decides, hey, if you're going to do another round of this, can I jump on?
Yeah.
That was,
Yeah, no, and I agree. And listen, I'm saying, yes, the answer to that, I would say, and I'll have to talk to Sharon, but I mean, I think Sharon would feel the same way. I would be perfectly okay with that. And we could, we could definitely throw it on. We have a list on our websites right now. We can just add a name to it and throw it on and give people the option.
So you would only open that up though, Keith, you wouldn't open up these new potential businesses to all of the folks on your wait list. We would only look at doing this with the new certificates that we're going to sell.
I mean, I guess we could go either way with it, because here's what's going to happen. Again, we have a waiting list of people who have already told us where they want to go, but this additional funding, we're definitely going to max out, because in our guidelines, we did have a 60 gift certificate max for each business. So that the max that they could get is 60 certificates, which is $3,000. And our purpose behind that was to spread it out to make sure that as many businesses can get something as possible. So as we work through this list, there may be people that had 2 of the 4 gift certificates they wanted, that those people are going to be sold out. They'll then have to make a decision whether they want to choose a different business or only purchase 2 gift certificates. You know what I mean? If we wanted to throw a couple other names in the mix, like I said, I'm okay with that. And we can adjust the list and we can let them know who's available if certain ones are maxed out.
Okay, sounds like it's just a logistic thing that has to get thought out, discussed, and put together.
Yep.
Let's go back and say, how much money do we want to throw back into this? Let's come up with a number. Then Lori had suggested a while ago. I think you had thrown out $20,000, Lori.
Yes. If we do 20, we would cover the 569 that are outstanding. We could do an extra 200, and if my math is right, we could leave 775 to the chamber for the additional admin fee.
Okay, I like that. You want to make that in the form of a motion?
So I make a motion that we add $20,000 to the business boost program an extra 200 certificates.
Okay. Is there a second to Lori's motion?
So
I'll
moved.
second it.
Nope.
David?
David,
David's gonna second that. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that's carried. Thank you, folks, on that.
Hey, Don, can I just, can
David,
I throw one thing in?
Yep.
Just real quick, I just want to, I know Gary did it already, but I just want to give a huge shout out to Sharon at the chamber. I can't wait to talk to her tomorrow. She's going to be excited about this as well, but Sharon has done a phenomenal job administering this. It's been great working with her and developing that relationship. We know we're going to be working together a lot here moving forward. So I just wanted to make sure that I get it out there that I'm extremely, I'm just happy that I got a chance to work with her and she did a phenomenal job in this program.
Excellent. Thank you, Sharon. Gary, do you have anything else?
That's all we have.
Okay, I think, Dave, we're a minute beyond what you wanted, so if you want to make a motion to adjourn, I'll entertain it.
Are we scheduling another
Oh.
meeting before we
Oh.
do that?
Did you do a roll call on your motions? You did? Yeah.
Yeah, I believe we did, yeah.
Yes, we
Yeah,
did.
we did, we did. Do you have a need to have another meeting soon, Gary?
No, not right now.
Let's, Dave, if it's okay, let's wait and see what type of business comes up, and then we can call a meeting, advertise it properly, and do what we got to do.
Okay, that's fine.
So guys, before we adjourn, I think what we're going to do, our next meetings are going to be a little more typical and regular, if you want to call it. But as far as the agenda is concerned, what I'd like to do, because public participation is very limited,
Yeah,
I think what we're going to do in our next agenda that we post is that we're going to have public participation, an opportunity for people to email. They'll see the agenda, and if they have any questions related to the agenda or any other concerns that they would like heard by the board, what we could do is on the agenda say public comment period for public participation. And so we can get all of those in writing in advance of the meeting. And those public comments can be read out loud by any one of us and addressed by you guys, if that makes sense.
Good idea.
Yes, it does.
yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like that. Okay,
Okay,
so all in favor to adjourn?
I make
Oh,
a
Dave made
motion
the motion.
that we
I need a
adjourn.
second. I need a second.
Second.
Okay, second by Lori. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Gary, thank you, Keith.
Thank you, Chief.
Nat.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jason.
C'est bon.
Okay,
Thanks,
everybody,
Merci,
everyone.
bye-bye.
goodbye.
Right.